What is your profession?
So here we have 2,000 points of Mordian Iron Guard. This is a brigade detachment, which means that the Mordians will have 15 command points to play with. So let's take a look what we are using today. Starting off over here, we have a unit of veterans with 3 plasma guns, and they will be riding inside a Valkyrie. The Valkyrie has 2 missile pods, 2 heavy bolters, and a multi-laser. We then have 2 command squads. Each one has 3 sniper rifles and a flag. We have tech priest engines here. And the reason we've got the tech priest is we've got a little bit of armour with us today, so we want to make sure it's always working in top performance. And we've got 3 standard Liam Russes today. The first, no tank commanders. The first 2 have battle cannon, las cannon, and 2 heavy bolters. And the last one has a demolisher cannon, because I don't see a lot of demolishers, and they're actually really fun little tanks. And then 3 heavy bolters just for maximum DACA. Then we have the infantry detachment. 10 infantry squads with a nice mix of special and heavy weapons. So we've got 7 autocannons and 3 heavy bolters here today. We've then got 4 flamers, 3 plasmas, and 3 grenade launchers. Fast attack element to this brigade is 2 hellhounds. Both hellhounds have an inferno cannon and a hull heavy flamer, and 2 scout sentinels. Both scout sentinels have a heavy flamer. They do not have the sentinel chainswords this game. And last but not least, the command element. So we have a Lord Commissar with power fist, company commander, junior officer with bolt pistol, another Lord Commissar with a power fist, a company commander with a plasma pistol, and another junior officer with a bolt pistol. So there we go. 2,000 points, 100 infantry, and 5 tanks and a few flyers and sentinels. Let's see what they're going to be facing off against today.
So here we have 2,000 points worth of Space Marines. So I'm trying out an armoured brigade at the moment. So just sort of developing this list. So we'll look at this in a bit more detail. For HQ, I have a chaplain with jump pack. I have a captain with thunderhammer and jump pack, and I have a tech marine, just a little Forge World sanguinary priest standing in there. Then for troops, I have 5 units of tac marines, 3 of which have plasma guys in there, and 2 of which are just bare bones. And then for my 6th unit, I have a unit of scouts, 2 with bolters, 3 with sniper rifles, all with camo cloaks. Then for the fast attack element, I have 2 units of assault marines, 5 men each, both with power swords on the sergeants, and they're travelling in a little rhino. And then I have a 5-man squad, just jetpacks, bare bones, no extra weapons. I have 3 additional rhinos for transportation of my infantry. For elites, I have gone for 1 unit of Terminators. That's 4 with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields, and then 1 guy just with Lightning Claws. And that was simply just to save points. And I have 2 company veteran units, just 2 men in each. 1 has a sergeant with a power sword and storm shield, and 1 has a sergeant with a power axe. And then finally, for my heavy support, I have 3 predators here, all the same. They all have las cannons on the turrets and heavy bolter sponsons. So that makes 2,000 points and 15 command points. I'm used to using a lot less than that, so this should be quite a fun game.
First time we've got a brigade of Blood Angels. Johnny's quite jealous of the amount of command points the Imperial Guard have had for a long time, so he's deciding to go for command points as well.
So let's see how this goes down.
So here we have the Warlords and Relic Bearers for both armies, starting off the Blood Angels. The Tech Marine is going to be having the Veritas Vitae, which allows Johnny to regain command points on a 5+. It's per stratagem, isn't it? So if you spend a stratagem, even if that stratagem costs 3 command points, you only get 1 chance to get 1 command point back. And the Warlord today is going to be the Jump Pack Chaplain, and he is going to have Artisan of War, which means his Crozius is going to be damage 3 plus 1 damage, so that's going to be very useful for smashing through tanks. And the Mordians, we've gone for the fluffy option, as we always do. We have gone for the Mordian Warlord trait, and we've gone for the Mordian Relic. So the Warlord here has the Iron Star of Mordia, which means he has a 4 plus Feel No Pain, which that's the Relic, and his Warlord trait, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, I believe it's Iron Will, but what it lets you do is when a unit suffers battle shock, each time a model is lost from battle shock on a 4 plus, that model isn't lost. So basically it just means you've got a chance to stop you guys from running away, which is very Mordian. So there we go, Warlords and Relic Bearers, no Psychers on either side. This is very, very strange. Normally I am used to falling under a psychic barrage, my character's always getting blood boiled and generally, you know, that kind of nasty things. But today I will not be facing any Psychers, so we're going for a nice, clean, heretic-free game today. So here we have 2,000 points, 2 brigades facing off against each other. So as you can see, the Iron Guard deployed a classic wall of infantry with armoured support covering the rear. Got some fast movers going on over this way as well. The mission we are doing today is the Scouring, so there are 6 objectives. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're playing lengthways. So as you can see, the Blood Angels have got all of the orange objective is the superior objective, and the blue objective is the inferior. So as you can see, the Blood Angels have got 3 objectives in their deployment zone. The Guard have only got 1. Just to go over the Blood Angels deployment, you can see they've made good use of the line of sight blocking terrain here, and they've got a nice little phalanx of predators here. So it's going to be interesting. So that's it really. Scouring, deployment, lengthways. Now we have to see who's going first. So we're going to roll off. Johnny has the +1. I get a 5. He gets a 2. So Johnny has to try and seize the initiative. He does not seize the initiative, so it will be an Imperial Guard turn 1. So we'll be back at the end of Guard turn 1.
Okay.
So a respectable turn 1 for the Guard. Initial units, this one moved and advanced, created a screen. This how moved and advanced, this one just moved up. Fired its Inferno Cannon into here, was able to do 4 wounds. These 2 Sentinels moved and Scout moved and were able to do another 2 wounds to it. So that Rhino has taken 6 damage, it has 4 left. As you can see, with the first wave of infantry, we've conga lined up, making sure that the heavy weapons stayed still. All the infantry heavy weapons that could opened fire into the Predator that was here. Johnny was quite lucky with the saves, but we did get an autocannon round through, so it took 2 damage. And then both Lehman Russes, this one and this one, El Clasicos, opened up, and it was the final shot from this tank's las cannon that actually was that did it. It was it weathered quite a storm. I think I got 7 battle cannon rounds from one, and then used a command point and got 10 on another. So 17 battle cannon rounds, 2 las cannons, and 6 heavy bolter shots finally brought down that Predator. So they are tough beast Predators. You do actually have to hit them with some pretty heavy firepower to damage them. And yeah, that was it pretty much. So we've begun the advance, because we have to sort of keep moving forward, because obviously Johnny's got most of the objectives. We've destroyed 1 Predator, which now means the tank duel is even. It's 2 on 2, and this Rhino is damaged, but it will get a chance to repair itself at the beginning of its turn. Do you want to do that now on camera, Johnny? So just on camera, does Johnny get a 6? He does. So this Rhino has repaired itself by 1 point.
That's 5.
Never ever forget that about the Rhino. It's a very, very useful little trait. So there we go. Let's see how the Blood Angels can respond in their turn 1. So the Blood Angels had a very respectable turn there. The fire base stayed still, obviously, but other elements moved forward. This Rhino with the Assault Marines went in over here, and these Tactical Marines disembarked and formed a bit of a red iron line here. These Terminators dropped in with the Chaplain over here. So that was the movement phase. There was no Psychic phase, which both of us, again, were very surprised about. No Blood Angel Psychic phase, but the shooting phase was respectable. These Tactical Marines, plus this Rhino, plus these Tactical Marines, all fired into this squad here. I used the stratagem take cover, and I only lost 5 guys. It probably saved about 3 or 4 casualties. That was really good. And then over here, this squad, between the heavy bolters on the predators over here and the sniper fire and a few bolt pistols and storm bolter shots, were reduced down to just those 2 guys, and I was forced to spend, well, wasn't forced to, but I wanted to spend 2 command points to keep that autocannon on the field. Then the assaults came in. These guys went in over here, and the Rhino absorbed the overwatch but took 2 damage from lasguns on the way in, which was quite funny. And then they went to work and were able to kill 5 guardsmen. They were in range of the Lord Commissar. No, they weren't in range of the Lord Commissar, sorry. So I had to use the stratagem, which means you take morale tests on 1d3 to keep them around, and so they passed. So the last thing to say is these Terminators charged in against both Sentinels, and yeah, Scout Sentinels, they're very, very fragile. They just got absolutely demolished by those Thunderhammers, and these guys have consolidated towards the near-to-them unit, which is this very angry-looking Rhino. So, quite a good response. Basically, 2 squads killed, and 2 Sentinels destroyed. Oh, last thing to say is in the tank duel, the las cannons really let the Blood Angels down, unfortunately, and they were only able to do 4 wounds to this Lehman Russ, which, you know, one las cannon did 3 damage and one las cannon did 1 damage. Johnny used his command point just to get an extra hit, and then, you know, didn't have it for that damage roll later, so it worked out better in the end, because when you think about it, if he hadn't done that extra hit, he would have done no damage, but when it came to that damage roll, he only got a 1, so a bit disappointing there. But yeah, that's it. So quite a good Blood Angels turn. Got into a bit of detail there. Let's see how the Guard can respond. We've got to keep advancing, keep pushing forward, got to go for those objectives. Let's see what the Guard can do. So a little bit of a mixed turn for the Guard. Some really good bits and some relatively average bits. First thing that we did is we fell back with the 2 squads that were engaged with the Rhino, and then those squads that fell back were given the order to get back in the fight. Then all this infantry open fired into the Rhino and was able to kill it. Apart from that squad back there with the unpainted autocannon. Then when the 5-man squad piled out, we started firing into the other squad that had previously engaged us in the last turn. We were able to kill them down to 2 people from just spare firepower. So, you know, some heavy bolters from tanks and sniper rifles and that squad over there. Then the Lord Commissar led a glorious charge, 1 squad with his power fist and a junior officer with a chainsword, and we were able to kill the last 2 assault marines there, which is cool. Commissar claimed 1, officer claimed the other. And then over here, for shooting, the Demolisher came out to play and was able to kill 2. And all the firepower from these 2 squads and the heavy bolters from just these 2 squads, sorry, were able to kill 2 of these guys here. The Demolisher cannon was able to kill 2 from that squad. Then the Hellhounds opened up into the Terminators, and Johnny got quite lucky with his saves, and he only lost 1 Terminator and 1's taken 1 wound. But the real sort of moment of the turn was the Valkyrie zooming over the top of the chaplain and carrying out a strafing run. We were able to do 3. I had to use 1 of my command points. I'm now down to 5 command points. Been burning them very quickly. I went from 15 to 5 in 2 turns. Johnny's still got 14 left. But yeah, so the rocket pods came in and were able to do 3 wounds to the chaplain, and then the heavy bolters went, and oh my god, 6 shots hitting on 5s, and I got 4 hits. Just couldn't believe it. And the door gunners, just as they went past, just unloaded some heavy bolter rounds into him, and unfortunately he failed 2 out of the 3 wounds that were done to him. So the chaplain has been killed, and the warlord has been claimed by the Imperial Guard. So that's it. We've cleared off one of the Assault Marine squads, and we're sort of getting bogged down in a bit of battle of attrition over here. The warlord of the enemy has been slain. Oh, and the last thing to say is the tank duel continued, but the tanks got lots of shots but very few hits. I think I got something like 18 shots of the tank cannons, only sort of 4 or 5 hits. And Johnny was able to save a couple, and in total we've done 6 damage to that Predator, but it will be able to be repaired by the Tech Marine. So there we go. Lots and lots of technical details there, sort of going through what units did what. We're going to now see how the Blood Angels can respond to the encroaching guard mass. Let's see what they can do. A turn of almosts for the Blood Angels. Almost killed both Hellhounds. Almost killed my officer. Almost killed the Lord Commissar. Almost killed this squad. A lot of a lot of almosts, a lot of not quite done it. A lot of damage still done, but nothing, no final brutal annihilations. Not the way the Blood Angels normally like to do things. So over here, we have a question for you, internet. Basically, how Johnny did this over here is he charged one of the Hellhounds, did his attacks, and then consolidated into this Hellhound.
Within range.
It was within range, and at the end of his fight phase, used Honour the Chapter. I was like, well, you didn't declare it as a charge. Does it work? But we checked the rule, but we couldn't see anything that said he couldn't do it. And Johnny's been to a tournament and had a TO say he can do it. So I was.
Can't consolidate afterwards because you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you heard Johnny say that, but he said you can't consolidate twice, basically. And it's like, okay, fair enough. I couldn't work out whether it was right or wrong, so I just said we'll put the question to the internet and see what they say. Either way, these guys came in here and were able to do. The las cannon was able to do 6 wounds, and another 3 were done. And then 9 wounds were done on this one. So both these Hellhounds are from the Thunderhammer. So both these Hellhounds have taken 9 wounds each. Speaking of las cannons, another disappointing round for them. Johnny again having to use command points just to make sure they actually hit. And even then, 2 2s to wound and a 1 to wound. Just at least the one that got through did do 6 wounds to one of the Hellhounds. At least that happened. One other positive is these 5 bolter guys just did what 5 bolter guys do and reinforces Johnny's own battle doctrine of all you really need in a tactical marine squad is 5 bolters, because they just hosed down half an infantry squad. They did pass the morale check though. And then over here, the assault marines, with some help from the heavy bolters on the predators and some storm bolters, were able to clear away the screening squad, and then they charged in against the Lord Commissar. 1 wound was put on him from a sniper, and then he was quite lucky with the saves. He made his 5-up save against the power sword, made 3 out of 4 saves against the regular chain attacks, and in return he crushed the head of one of the assault marines. So again, they almost killed him, but some good luck on my side scuppered it. Johnny got plenty of hits and wounds, just good luck on my side. And then again over here, just struggling to almost kill these things. So, should say this officer, the company veterans charged in against the officer. Thanks to him being a Mordian officer, he hit with his plasma pistol and had to use a command point to reroll the wound, but did kill one of the company veterans. And then in close combat, he used his chainsword and he killed the other one, but the company veteran did do a wound to him in return. So, there we go. Interesting turn, but Blood Angels feel a bit disappointed with it. Let's see how the Guard can do in response. Not a bad Imperial Guard turn. We're just grinding forward. So pretty much the Hellhounds fell back and pretty much the entire flank opened up, apart from this Demolisher cannon, which went into this 5-man squad and killed 3 of them. But the heavy bolters, las guns, plasma guns, auto cannons were really started to show. 2 marines I think were killed by auto cannons this turn. This lone auto cannon, heavy bolter, sniper rifles, heavy bolters from this tank. Basically all the small arms and medium arms went into the Terminators and killed them. Like I said, the Demolisher did 3 wounds to this squad, and then the door gunners from the Valkyrie, which dropped into hover mode so it could get roaming gunship. My god, the door gunners have really been doing work this time. They killed the chaplain with 4 hits with and 6 dies, hitting on 5s. Against here, they got 5 hits, 5 wounds, and just shredded the remaining 2 marines. The rocket pods went into here, but unfortunately only got 5 shots, and then only got like 1 or 2 hits, and Johnny made the saves. 1 marine was killed from here. By the small arms, the plasma and las guns were able to kill one of the marines from this squad. And then this guy on this flank, he charged in, and he didn't do any damage, unfortunately. He did get 2 wounds against them, and I was cursing myself for not paying 4 points for that power sword, because he would have killed both Marines. As it was, they got 2 3s to their saves, and in return they did 1 wound to him, but he passed it. That's a wound from their previous turn. The battle cannon and las cannon only did 1 wound to that predator on the right, but then the next Leman Russ opened up and was able to put it down, so it's only got 2 wounds left.
Yeah, he did 3.
He did 3. I think the last candidate got quite lucky, didn't it? Over here, everything fell back that had to fall back, and then all other orders we used to get back in the fight was used. First rank fire, second rank fire is used, and everything went into those assault marines, and they really toughened up. They needed heavy bolter support from the Leman Russ. And 1 was left alive, and then charged a 10-man squad in, had 10 attacks, got like a really spectrum of hits, got like 7 hits but only 1 wound, which Johnny saved, and in return he just decapitated one of the guardsmen. And if you recognise this model, this is he's an assault marine sergeant today, but in the Blood and Shadows campaign from 7th edition he was Captain Leto Atreides of the Angels Vermilion. So there we go. Quite a lot of damage done. This is the dead pile from this turn. The Marines, they're getting worn down. They've got 4 tactical Marines, 2 company veterans in reserve, a damaged Rhino and a good Rhino, sort of in this sort of area. They still have a Rhino full of goodies here, undamaged as of yet, but their fire support is also taking a bit of a beating, and their offensive elements, their ability to strike out and damage the guard, have been neutralised. They've lost the chaplain, they've lost the terminators, and they've pretty much lost the assault marines. Oh, he has to take a leadership check, Johnny. Assault marines, you lost 3. So you need to get 6 followed by 6 to lose him. Oh, and they shall know no fear. No, get a 3. So he was a bit worried, but he remembered he was a space marine and that he's only fighting mortals, so he decided not to, give up just yet. But yeah, so that's it. So the Marines are taking a beating, but it's turn 3 for them now. They are still in a commanding position of the board. The Guard, again, still have to constantly go on the offensive, and we are struggling to break out of our deployment zone. We need every turn we can to push forward, to keep attacking. Let's see what we can do going into the Blood Angels turn 3.
Oh, so
a very interesting Blood Angels turn. They ceded this objective to the Imperial Guard. The Tactical Marines pulled back inside Rhinos, who tactically retreated to form a second line, aka they buggered off. And over here, the remaining 5 Tactical Marines that have been, not Tactical Marines, Assault Marines that have been kept in reserve, dropped in here and charged in against that squad and killed 6 of them. So it was really good. They didn't lose any in return, but this officer was in 3 inches of that sergeant, so he heroically intervened and was able to kill the power sword wielding sergeant. So, and 6 wounds were done by the las cannons over here, and the 5-man squad that was here was wiped out by heavy bolters. Should say one of the las cannons killed one of the hellhounds, which exploded, which then killed the next hellhound, which also exploded. 2 explosions killed 3 guardsmen, and the company veterans were in range of one of the hellhounds, and one of them died. So, and he charged in and killed 2 guardsmen, and in return they got a wound in, but he passed his save. So in total, the Blood Angels are quite well there. The Guard are starting to look a little bit thin on the ground, but the Blood Angels have a lot of Rhinos, which makes their force look like deceptively quite big. But actually, those Rhinos are, I think, pretty much all just full of battered units, aren't they? So, or is that one? Oh, that one's still got 10 men in it. So the Blood Angels do have assets to draw upon, but this flank has been badly bruised. I've had to retreat. They've gone for another hurrah over here, just delaying the Guard as long as possible. I just want to say the best moment for me was 3 snipers targeted the Lord Commissar. Johnny got 1 wound, it wasn't a mortal wound, and the Lord Commissar passed his save. He will just not go down. And then over here, Colonel Schaffer took 4 Stormbolter shots and didn't drop a wound. What absolute hero. So a couple of heroes in the making here. But let's see what the Guard can do. We've just got to keep pushing, keep being aggressive, Got to play the objective game. It's going to be a tough one. Let's see what they can do going into guard turn 4. Interesting guard turn. It took us, ups and downs, ups and downs. So it started off over here, and this company veteran just absorbed so much firepower, and it finally came down to the heavy bolters on this Lieben Rust to bring him down. But he took all this squad's firepower,
and the
snipers, yeah. But he was eventually brought down. This thing used its battle cannon and las cannon to help destroy the rhino that was here, and this thing used its demolisher cannon and heavy bolters we killed 2 assault marines. Unfortunately, we were a little bit unlucky. Well, we got a good amount of hits and wounds, and then Johnny made 2 6s, so there you go, that's alright. They were eventually brought down just by all the small arms fire here, really. The rhino that was here, which had 2 guys inside, was brought down through a combination of the battle cannon, which was able to do 3 wounds to it, and then these guys unloaded with rerolling 1s to hit. They jumped out of the Valkyrie, I should say. Rerolling 1s to hit. I used my last stratagem for Mordian volley fire, and he gave me reroll 1s to hit, and every single one of them got at least 1/6 and got to fire again, and just poured an unholy amount of plasma onto there. There's only 2 Marines inside. Johnny was forced to use a command point to keep one of them alive, and then I thought, right, I'm going to absolutely strafe them with this Valkyrie, and Johnny got some good saves, and I got some poor rolling, really, but 1 Marine was killed here, and no Marines were killed here, so the Valkyrie sort of letting me down a little bit, but it's done very well so far, so apart from that one turn, I'm willing to forgive it. And I should say, this took 1 whole point from a random heavy bolter shot. Me and Johnny were just saying how we've really noticed a difference facing against a mechanised list, the difference that having autocannons has made, because I've been able to wound on 4s. My heavy bolters have been plinking away at vehicles all game, because I've mostly been forced to, and they've only done 1 wound to a vehicle the whole game, whereas the autocannons have consistently just smacked 2 damage through. So yeah, it does...
Not that consistently, but when they get it through, it's like, yes, 2
That's true, that is true. The autocannons have consistently been doing 1 to 2 damage, either killing a Terminator or 2, or putting 2 damage on a vehicle, but they've consistently been noticeable, whereas the heavy bolters, and that's all of them, including the ones on the vehicles, so I have more heavy bolters, have been struggling, and I think that's just a little bit of a sign of the meta change that we were talking about in other videos. People are starting to take tougher targets now. Hordes aren't as important, it's all about being hardcore again. Sort of regression to 7th edition, but anyway... so the Imperial Guard have finally managed to clear out the Blood Angels from their deployment zone, and have finally managed to take a central position. We've deployed our remaining assets after the Blood Angels, so really the Blood Angels have left 3 tactical marines, their fire base, which is relatively untouched, and a rhino full of tactical marines there. So it's close. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Blood Angels can do to pull this back. Let's see what they do in their turn 4. So, Blood Angels had an alright turn then. The las cannons finally doing what they needed to do. The Predator armoured column moving this way. The las cannons finally doing what they needed to do. Taking out this Lieben Rust. It didn't explode, they just finally knocked it out. The heavy bolters, though, didn't do a lot against the veterans. And then these tactical marines had to join in. So did this Storm Bolter, so did this Plasma guy. But only 4 were killed. They do have a morale check to take. Absolutely fine. Mordian Iron Guard. So those veterans took a lot of fire, but didn't actually lose too many. And then the tank died. Sad note, the 3 snipers got 3 hits, 3 wounds, and just killed the Lord Commissar. Didn't make any of his saves. So the Lord Commissar here has died, unfortunately. But he did an absolutely fantastic job. The Blood Angels have committed their last Rhino of Tactical Marines, Rhino O Tactical, to play in, obviously, this centre battlefield for this objective and for that objective. So it's going to be tough. The Guard Infantry has taken a mauling. The Guard Armoured Column is down to just 2 tanks after starting with 5 and 2 Sentinels. The Veterans have come in, done some damage, but they've taken a bit of a beating, but the Vital Plasma Guns are still running. It's going to be really, really close. Oh, last thing to say is this guy has healed 3 wounds 2 turns in a row, so he's basically back to full strength. Really good work from both sides, Tech Marines, or my Tech Priests. But yeah, it's going to be really, really close. It's obviously the Blood Angels have a huge advantage in terms of the objectives, because they had 3 in their deployment zone, but the Guard, we're pushing on to pretty much every objective we can get our hands on. It's going to be very interesting to see what we can do now. So let's see what the Guard can do. Potentially the last turn of the game for them, turn 5. So the Guard did what they may have had to do to help secure the game. It's going to be very, very close. Essentially, as many small arms and spare firepower that we had went into the Rhino, and it finally, I didn't want to use it, but I had to use the battle tank to finally kill it and bring it down. 10 tactical marines spilled out, 4 or 5 went around here, 5 went around here. The Martial Cannon and Heavy Bolters was able to do significant damage to these ones, and then there was a whole this thing used a multi-laser and Heavy Bolter to kill the 1 Marine that was there, because he would have been able to stop my officer from getting this objective, and then the Rocket Pods and Heavy Bolters went into this squad down here and was able to kill 3 of them. So this Valkyrie has been doing alright. Lord Commissar went in there, but unfortunately flubbed his attacks. It got 2 1s to hit and then a 1 to wound with the Power Fist. Very unfortunate there. And then really it was just, the plasma guys here helped put some wounds on this unit up here. It was just I lost a guy charging in to try and tie them up. Yeah, it's lots of little bits, but they all were pointed at the right target, and it sort of came through. So there's 6 tactical marines here, 2 of which are tied up. So there's 4 tactical marines here, which have to try and sort of get through this little platoon of guardsmen here, this little squad. So let's see what they can do. Blood Angels going into their turn 5, possibly the very last turn of the game. What an absolutely epic Blood Angels turn. Just the heroics of these Astartes is just absolutely amazing. So it was what an up and down turn at the same time. I mean, the Armoured Corps, this guy was able to just absolutely shred these veterans. There's only 2 of them left, but they did get a 1 on their leadership. The Helldivers do not go down easy. And then this guy, we'll get the bad news out of the way. What disappointment. A full Predator, admittedly hit on 4s because he moved, unloaded into a Guardsman squad and didn't kill a single one. Just didn't hit with heavy bolters, basically. I think
And if he killed 1.
And if he'd killed 1, it could have made a huge difference to the game. But he didn't. And he hit with a las cannon. I got a 1 to wound. Just unbelievable. Some scattered firepower from the scouts over here. Was able to plink off a wound from kill one of the guardsmen here. And they tried to kill Colonel Schaffer again, but the fools. He cannot be killed. And then it really came down to this. Can Blood Angel Tactical Marines take an objective from the Guardsmen? They fired their bolt rounds into this squad. They killed the squad down to just 4 guys. They charged in and only killed 1 more. They got 3 hits, 3 wounds, and the Guardsmen made 2 5-ups. The flak armour just finally coming into its own. And then the Guard fought back, but weren't able to do any damage with everything. But the Lord Commissar was able to crush his 2 opponents. Should have done that last turn, but he was able to crush his 2 and he consolidated in. So looking at it, it looks obviously like there are 4 tactical marines versus 3 guardsmen in terms of obsec against that objective. But hidden away down here is a little 2-man squad. Squad that faced down the company veteran all those turns ago. And that meant it was 4 and 4 on this objective. So, as the points stand now, the Guard hold 3 objectives which are worth 2 points each. So that's 6 points. The Blood Angels, this one is contested. And the Blood Angels control the major objective, which is this orange one here, which gives them 4. And the minor objective, which gives them 1, so 5. So it's 5, 6 on objective. So the Guard are in the lead. But the Guard also have First Blood, Warlord and Linebreaker. So the Guard are ahead, but the Blood Angels kind of need it to go on so they can secure that objective, which will massively help them possibly bring the lead back. So, are you ready to roll the dice? It's been rolled, it's a 5, the game goes on. So, the Guard, they did what they had to do, even though it was a bitter taste in their mouth as it was a dishonourable move. We fell back out of combat here, exposing, and with the Lord Commissar, exposing the Blood Angel Tactical Marines, and we just held the trigger down, turned our heads, held the trigger down, and blew both those 2-man squads away. The scouts were then peppered from small arms fire from the platoon, which continues to move towards this objective just to secure it. The scouts lost 2 people, one from the peppering and one from this Valkyrie, which remained in hover mode, moved to here, and then it charged into this Predator, locking it up. So now it comes down to the Blood Angels. What can the Blood Angels do to try and stop the Guard with their remaining few assets? They've got a captain, they've got a Predator, they've got some scouts. Let's see what they can do going into their turn 6. So the Blood Angels are trying to claw it back. They're trying everything they can.
Never surrender.
Never give up, never surrender. So this bad boy over here fired 2 las cannons over into my Demolisher and did another 4 damage to it. His heavy bolters then sprayed the veterans down. The Helldivers have finally died. The Helldivers are dead. Long live the Helldivers. And there is a simple case of this guy just went in and just smashed the face of the junior officer, the impotent fool who dared to trespass into the Blood Angels' territory. The snipers were able to... They got 3 hits, 3 wounds on Schaffer, one of which was a mortal wound, so he had to make 3 4-up saves. Made every single one of them like a boss. He must have made so many saves. He does not give a shit. So there we go. Currently, as the score stands, the Blood Angels have 1. Plus 4 is 5. Plus 2 is 7. The Guard have 3 objectives worth 2 points each, which is 6. And then we have First Blood and we have Warlord, which makes 8. So the Guard are winning by 1 point. Johnny, will you roll the dice, please? The game does go on. Let's see what the Guard can do in their turn 7. Holy moly. So the Guard are doing what they need to do to secure victory. Over here, this squad that was holding this objective moved, advanced, and moved, and secured another 10 bodies basically on this objective, along with the remaining 6. It's a good 15, 16 Guardsmen holding this objective now. This objective was got a bit messy, but basically this objective was moved on to by another squad. The officer's still there. This squad of 3 stayed still. This little guy obviously stayed still. He's been on his Todd the whole game. And these guys moved up. All the small arms plus the Valkyrie fired into the scouts, and there was 1 left. It was then time to call in the heavy artillery. The battle cannon fired, got 9 shots, 5 hits, and then only 2 wounds, so it was close. 2 wounds. Johnny had 2 4-up saves to make. Made 1, failed the other. So the scouts have been purged from that objective. And then the Valkyrie flew in here to tie this thing up again. And it took another wound on Overwatch, so it's taken 2 wounds now. Right, that's it. The Guards have held 3 objectives. Let's see how the Blood Angels can respond in their turn 7. So we've got an epic end to the game here. Blood Angel Predator has fallen back to hold this objective. This one stayed to hold this objective and fired its las cannons and heavy bolters into this Valkyrie and did 5 wounds to it. And then another wound was done by a crack grenade by the captain. And that tech priest moved onto that objective with an 11-inch move. After chucking a crack grenade into the engine's intakes of this Valkyrie, the Thunderhammer captain has charged up and is engaging in close combat. We're going to do this live on camera as the final roll of the game. That's all hit. That's pretty good. Needs 2s to wound. That's all wound. I have to get 3 6s here, or the Valkyrie is going to go pop. No, I get 1. A little defiant 6, but that's 3. Does it explode? It does not explode. So that is it. That is the end of the game. We'll be back tossing up the points. So that's it. This is the end of the game. We've worked out the points as follows. So 1 point plus 4 points plus 2 points is 7 points to the Blood Angels. The Guard have plus 3 for the fast attack choices that they killed, because we're playing Scouring. And then the Guard have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have got First Blood and Line Breaker, which was on 8, and then we killed 3 fast attack choices as well. So that's 10 points to the Blood Angels and 11 points to the Guard. Could not have been a closer game. Just taking a look at these final forces on the board, we've got a very badly damaged Leman Russ over here. Two pretty much fully intact Predators. That one's taken 1 wound. And the only difference really is the Imperial Guard have got a smattering of infantry, but not a single one of these infantry squads is undamaged. I think every single one of them, I'm just checking now. Oh, sorry. This is the only undamaged squad, and it has been on the corner of the board the entire time. But essentially, there's not a single undamaged unit of infantry for the Imperial Guard. We just kept pushing forwards. We never stopped being aggressive. On turn 1, I almost didn't move anything forward. I thought I'll just gunline the turn 1, and then I remembered my own video I did this week, or last week, on keeping the momentum, always pushing forward from turn 1. So I made sure I stuck to my own advice, and it really paid off. Without doing that, I would have been stuck back here the entire game. And as it was, I was just able to constantly throw units near that middle objective, forcing Johnny to constantly throw more and more reserves in that area. And likewise, Johnny over here did exactly the right thing, bring his Terminators down here. If he'd sent his Terminators down there, they would have just been lost in the quagmire of just endless attacks and counterattacks. Instead, he brought them in here and completely shut down my flanking manoeuvre with my Hellhounds. If he hadn't done that, those Hellhounds would have been absolute nightmare for the Tactical Marines in trying to hold these objectives. It would have just been too many 3-up saves they would have had to make. As it was, they quite comfortably were pretty much consistently on 2-up saves, and the Guard had to keep bringing in heavier and heavier firepower. At the beginning of one last thing to say is, at the beginning of the game, me and Johnny both thought that the tanks would be dueling, and as it turned out, the Imperial Guard basically, after sort of turn 3, realised, well, we're not, we did 3 turns of shooting at those Predators and we only killed one of them, and we kept damaging the other one, but it just kept getting repaired back up. Absolutely, great display of how having a tech marine or a tech priest is really important. So we switched our targets, switched on to cracking open some isolated rhinos and to providing support fire to the actual infantry, and I think that's maybe what made the difference, because the Blood Angels kept targeting those tanks. But as it was, those tanks didn't really have much choice because of the loadout.
Heavy bolts are shot infantry.
Heavy bolts are still shot infantry, but it's just a bit of a difference between the two units. I mean, the Blood Angels Predators are stuck with las cannons, whereas the battle cannon is a very universal weapon, absolutely fantastic.
So.
If the Blood Angel, Johnny always says there's 2 things if he could steal from the Guard he would. It'd be battle cannons and grenade launchers. He says they're the two things he'd take. For me, man of the match in terms of unit that actually just consistently did well was the Valkyrie. It just stayed in hover mode that entire game and just sprayed out a horrendous amount of firepower.
Really good at taking harassing objectives secured.
Exactly, that's Johnson, really good at harassing objectives secured. And hero of the game, I think I'm going to give to Colonel Schaffer, but just because he should not have survived that many sniper and bolt rounds, but he did. What was your man of the match? What was your most valuable unit, Johnny?
Nothing. Everything really let me down quite a lot, but the Assault Marines are consistently, good at doing what they're supposed to do.
Assault Marines, that's very true. For 15 Assault Marines, pretty much held up 100 Guardsmen until about turn 4, turn 3, turn 4. So you can't really complain about that. And have you got a particular hero, any model that just did something epic? Captain Slamguinius over here with his big old Baron Harkonnen with his big old Thunderhammer. So there we go, guys. Absolutely fantastic game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We have. We've literally been playing this game from daylight till night time. It's completely and utterly dark out there. So there you go. Absolutely fantastic game, and it just shows 2 brigades going against each other is just an absolute grind. Proper attritional game. But we'll leave it there. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.
That was